This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1464. What to Do When People Hate You, by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. Hello, everybody. My name is Greg Audino. I'm your host and narrator. Grateful to have you here once again as we will continue doing what we do, which is sharing and reading from articles for you that can help you improve your relationships. And in this installment, we're going to hear from James Altucher, who's a really popular writer about many topics and has given us permission to share his work all throughout the OLD network. In this post, he's going to provide his thoughts on what to do when people hate us. So without further ado, let's jump into this work now and optimize your life. What to Do When People Hate You, by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. I got an email saying, "You're ugly, shut up." It was the first time I got hate mail. I had an opinion about the stock market, I wrote it, then I got this email. It was 2002. I showed a friend of mine. "That's a badge of honor. It means people are paying attention to you," he said. I replied with, "Or it could just mean people think I'm ugly." In 2005, in a column in the Financial Times, I wrote that I didn't think kids should go to college. Student loan debt was around $300 billion then, now it's over $1.5 trillion. Tuitions are 2 times higher now than then, acceptance rates are lower, and yet nowadays, almost all new jobs being created in the economy don't require a college degree. But this was 2005. Many people hated me. I lost friends and I got death threats. People would say things like, "He went to college, so now he just wants people to not go to college so he can remain superior." People said things like, "He must have done bad in college." People said things like, "Not everything's about money." And colleges stopped inviting me to speak on their campuses. Then, I wrote an article on why people shouldn't own a home. If you paid all of your life savings to own a home, then you probably hated me after that. I spoke about it on Yahoo Finance in a video that got millions of views and over 10,000 comments. My friends told me, "Whatever you do, don't look at the comments." I looked at the comments. I looked at them for hours, and then I threw up afterwards. In 2009, I went on CNBC, and I said that the market was going to go up. A lot of people hated me. One person called a friend of mine and said, "Everyone is laughing at your friend." I said, "Did you defend me?" "No way, man," he said. "I want to go out with that girl." I was really upset that he didn't defend me. In August 2017, I went on CNBC to talk about Bitcoin. I said that there were a lot of alternatives to Bitcoin that were scams, but the Bitcoin would go up. Bitcoin was only $3,500 then, and 80% of the alternative currencies around then are out of business because they were scams. I wasn't right about everything, but I was right about the direction. A lot of people hated me. They hated me because they hated Bitcoin, or they hated me for ads I made for a course that would explain cryptocurrencies to the average person. One time, I got so upset at all the hate that I put my phone number on Twitter and told people to call me if they had a problem with me. I spoke on the phone from 3 a.m. until about 8 a.m. What good did it do? To this day, I get at least one hate mail a day about Bitcoin. One time, I wrote that I was against all wars. One person wrote, "Even the Peloponnesian War?" What? Another friend wrote me and said, "If you said that in a bar I go to each night, we'd beat you up." Another friend never wrote me. He'd been my friend for decades, even a best friend. I finally realized that he had unfriended me everywhere. I wrote and said, "What happened?" He said, "You must want slavery if you're against the Civil War." What? "You've known me for decades. How could you possibly think that?" I said. And he didn't answer. People who hate don't change their minds. They're afraid that their view of the world is wrong. They're afraid that they spend huge amounts of money without needing to. They don't like who you are for some reason that you have no idea about. They think it will make them feel better to not like you. They think it will make them more accepted in their group to not like you. They think that you are directly insulting them. They think that you are stupid and that they are smart. They think that your view will hurt them in some way. Maybe, cliché, they're jealous. I don't like it when people trash me or say horrible things to me or treat me so poorly. It hurts me almost every day. I need to get over it, and I'm getting better at it. I've learned a few things. A, never ask why. Nobody is ever going to tell you the real reason they dislike you. They might not even know. B, never argue back. What's the point? C, some relationships end. D, listen to them. I've often changed my mind when people are reasonable. E, move forward. In physics, for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. When you move forward, someone will always try to move against you. This is why success is so hard. To be successful, you will have every force in the world move against you. Learning to ignore the haters, not fight them, and just take the very next steps is key to success. And F, ignore. Ignorance is bliss. The opposite of love is not hate, it is apathy. Ignore the people behind you so that you can move forward. I felt all alone many times. I felt depressed. So depressed I simply didn't have the emotional infrastructure inside of me to get out of bed. I lost friends, and I would make the mistake of calling them and asking why, when there was no answer. I would try to argue and plead, but it just dug my grave. The only thing that works, foreshadowing, it's a cliche, figure out more ways to help people. When other people are hate machines, I try to let that be the fuel of my help machine. I remind myself of this when I get hate. But that first guy was right. I looked in the mirror today. Ugh. You just listened to the post titled, What to Do When People Hate You, by James Altucher of jamesaltucher.com. And thanks so much to James for both the lesson and the stories, which he always intertwines really well in his writing. One thing that really interests me in this article is his list of lettered steps for what to do when people hate you, particularly how B and D might coexist. So B is to never argue back, and D is to listen to them. When James says to never argue back, this doesn't necessarily mean to remove yourself from any type of interaction with this person. One might be more apt to doing this if they're receiving hate mail, but if you've upset a friend, for example, while you don't need to argue with them, taking the time to engage them and listen to them can be really helpful. It can be difficult to sit and listen to why someone has an issue with us without jumping to our own defenses and snapping back. But if we'd like a chance at mending relationships that were once meaningful and/or we feel could be meaningful in the future, it's important to be able to put our pride aside and allow room for a conversation in which you listen to their point of view, perhaps speak about your own intentions and how they may have been misunderstood or relayed improperly, but without that sense of aggression. So many thanks to James once again. We are all done for today, though. Of course, I thank you all as well for tuning in and making another episode possible. And if you'd like more, be sure to check out our weekly bonus episode, which is live now too. I'll hope to see you there, everyone, where your optimal life awaits.